Welcome to Exalt. I'm your host, Bruce Guthrie. On today's show, Pastor Andrew Gonzalez, a pastor from Hot Springs, Arkansas. We're going to talk to him about his ministry and his music when we come back.
Dawn is breaking, I can hear you whisper in the breeze. The world is waking, I am here to meet you on my knees. When I'm with you, my soul finds rest, 'cause I can leave it in your hands. The day keeps coming, pulling me a million different ways. I'm always running, never seem to catch the things I chase. When I'm with you, my soul finds rest, 'cause I can leave it in your hands. Every sorrow, I leave it in your hands. Every sickness, I leave it in your hands. All my failures, I leave it in your hands. Amen. I leave it in your hands.
Welcome back to Exalt. I'm your host, Bruce Guthrie, and that is the voice of Pastor Andrew Gonzalez. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Tell me about that song and what it means to you, and if those who don't recognize the song.
Yeah, this is a song that came from a group that I've just started listening to called Unspoken, and it seems like a theme of my ministry is helping people and myself to understand that everything works better when you leave it in the Lord's hands. And I'm like a lot of people, I try to figure things out on my own, and I've learned that God has everything in control, and His hands truly are big enough to handle our biggest problems.
Pastor, you are a pastor. Why would you have to want to figure things out on your own? I mean, you're a pastor.
Well, I'm a pastor,
Yeah.
but I'm just a man just like everybody else. And maybe the fact that I am a pastor, people come to me with their problems, gives me even more temptation to try to figure things out.
Right.
Not just for myself, but for other people as well.
It's just one of those things, and
Yeah.
A lot of times pastors are expected to be, in some way, supermen.
Sure.
In that way. And
Right.
And it's I think it's good that a pastor can admit when he struggles the same way that his congregation does.
Definitely.
You're very skilled with that guitar, and I want to know how you got so skilled with that guitar.
Well, the guitar, this is really not my instrument. I started on the drums when I was 7 years old, playing in church. My dad pastored with the Spanish Assemblies of God in Central California, and one thing that he learned as a pioneer pastor, he started the church, was that you couldn't depend on people.
Right.
And so
Right.
he taught. I've got a twin brother. My mother played the piano, and he taught us boys to play music so that he didn't have to depend on anybody. So when his twins were 7, we were the church music. I was on the drums, and my brother played the bass. And I just kind of, as I went to other churches, as I progressed in life, when I went to college, the church there, I learned how to play the guitar because they already had a drummer. And I learned how to play the bass when I was youth pastoring because they had a drummer and a guitar player. And now my main instrument is probably the piano, and that was since I moved to Hot Springs because I needed a piano player.
How many instruments do you have under your belt?
Well, there's the 4 I just mentioned. I play the mandolin. I play a little harmonica. I play the accordion.
Wow.
And the bajo sexto I'm learning, which is a Mexican-style guitar, totally different chord fingering.
Dude, I wish you would have brought some of those with you. I wanted some mandolin.
Maybe next time.
I love mandolin, man. It just the bluegrass in me kind of really
absolutely.
loves mandolin.
Absolutely.
And we had your guys breakaway in here a while back, and they had that
good friends of
mandolin.
mine.
Yeah, I had some had that mandolin in here, man. It was a jam session.
He's actually the one that inspired me to get a mandolin.
Preston at
well,
breakaway.
Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Chris had the mandolin, and he inspired me to get one.
it is amazing how interwoven a lot of this the Christian music community is around here, and that just the fact that those guys and how great they are is just
Yeah, I taught at a Christian school for a couple of years, and Preston and Noah were students of mine,
right.
And now they've got their little band that's doing really well.
They are doing really well, and but this one's about you. So
sure, no, of course.
We're trying to get in here and talk about how you really, you sing well, you play well. Is that where music started? Was at 7 years old in church? Was that where it started? And when did you think, well, I could do this on my own?
Yes, well, it did start even before 7. That's when I started playing the drums. But we were singing 3-part harmony, me, my brother, and one of my parents, whether it was my mother or my father, at very young ages. And music runs in both sides of the family. My dad's side is more the norteño, accordion, bajo sexto, Mexican music. That's what I grew up on in the Spanish assemblies, and I'm actually going to sing a song in Spanish here.
I was going to ask. I was going to request that you do that. I really was.
That'll be my third song.
That'll be great.
And my mom's side is more Southern gospel flavor, and so that'll be my second song.
So you got some Southern gospel, a little bit of Spanish. That is a mix.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play because I don't have my piano here, but my style is more of a black gospel.
See, that's what I'm. That is a great mix. That is a great mix. I really, you could bring some of that with the guitar. I know you can.
Well,
I know you can.
Not like I can with the piano.
Well, let's go to your next selection and let's tell me about this song.
This song is called "House of Gold," and I'll be honest with you, it's just a fun song for me to sing.
Well, we're about having fun here too.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Some people steal, they cheat and lie for wealth and wine it will buy. But don't they know on the judgment day the gold and silver is gonna pass away? I'd rather be in a deep dark grave and know that my poor soul was saved than to live in this world in a house of gold and deny my God and lose my soul. What good is gold and silver too if your heart's not pure and true? Oh, sinner, hear me when I say, fall down upon your knees and pray. I'd rather be in a deep dark grave and know that my poor soul was saved than to live in this world in a house of gold and deny my God and lose my soul.
And we'll be right back with more Exalt and Pastor Andrew Gonzalez right for this.
Señor, manifiesta tu poder, haz que vuelva a renacer en mi corazón. Tú que hiciste los cielos y en la tierra, le diste paz y gozo a mi corazón. Señor, dame más sabiduría para que yo cada día puedo así con alegría alabarte a mi Señor. Jehová, bendito sea tu nombre, su nombre sea bendito y glorificado por la eternidad.
And welcome back to Exalt. I'm Bruce Guthrie. That is Pastor Andrew Gonzalez. Pastor, tell me about that song. I have very little Spanish left in me. So.
Sure, yeah. That song is called Dame Más Sabiduría, which means give me wisdom. Kind of models the prayer of Solomon there when the Lord told him that he could have anything he wanted. And he, ironically, made the wise choice of asking for wisdom. So that's kind of what that song is saying there.
You know, you bring a lot to the table here. And we're talking about how you got started and where, you know, what brought you to Hot Springs, Arkansas?
Well, when I was youth pastoring in Northern California, we would leave for about 6 weeks at a time and preach. And we got married at 18 and 19. I was 19, she was 18, my wife Rebecca. And we would travel through Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama, through the South here. And during one of those trips, I preached a revival in Hot Springs at a little double-wide trailer.
No kidding.
Yeah. The Lord spoke to me as I was crossing the California-Arizona line and said, you're going to preach revival in Hot Springs. I didn't know the pastor. I didn't personally know anybody there. My wife did, this little bitty pioneer work. And so we showed up that Sunday morning, and it was the deadest, driest service I'd ever been a part of. And I thought, Lord, what in the world were you talking about? And when I sat down, the minister, he was an older man of God who's now passed away last year, stood up and said, the Lord woke me up at 4 a.m. and said, we're going into revival. And it was going to be a 3-day revival that turned into a 2-week revival.
Wow.
And when he resigned, they called us, and we came and took the church, and we've gone from there.
The name of the church is?
The Everlasting Gospel Pentecostal Lighthouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're located?
We are at 712 Leonard Street, about a mile from the racetrack.
Gotcha. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, that's that right there, and being able to kind of get into something that you. I mean, were you scared a little bit? I mean, we were a little apprehensive, a little nervous.
Absolutely. We left a great church in Northern California, youth pastoring, and I was involved in the music there, and family. My father-in-law was the pastor. My wife is one of 7 girls, and so we had a lot of family there, and we left everything for 12 people in a double wide. And when we got there in the first month, a family of 5 left us.
So you went from a dozen to a half a dozen.
Yeah, pretty much. And
right.
But we started growing from there. So.
And are you still in the double wide?
Oh, absolutely not. I stood the very first Sunday and said, we need to be out of here in 6 months. And we were out in 8 months. The Lord provided us a church building without, it's a long story, but without paying a cent. We walked into a building
That's
that
awesome.
was ours. Yeah.
That's awesome. Your music, where do you want to go with this? And I know you're pastoring now, and you have a lot of responsibilities.
You know, pastoring is my main focus, but I enjoy singing so much. My dad pastored, and he recorded, and he had 5 albums, and he did 4 of them before we were born. And the last album, my brother and I got to be a part of. I was on the drums, and he was on the bass, and so I have been praying about and been thinking about recording for quite some time now. I manage a funeral home there in Hot Springs, and I play music a lot. If a family mentions a song and doesn't mention an artist, they're going to be surprised when the piano's at the front of the chapel and I sing, and that's part of what I do there. And so my music with that really is starting to get out more than it ever has.
Let me ask you, and I sense a story in that there is, at some point when you were playing like that, when you surprised a family, there has to be a story there somewhere about something that maybe you made an impact.
Every time I do it, it makes an impact, and it feels. Here's the deal: my mother. I'm going to say this about funeral directors. My mother told me one time, funeral directors are the greatest actors in the world because they act like they're so sorry for your loss. And I looked at her and I said, I'm not acting. I really am. And I want to make, especially services that people are having to honor their loved ones, I want to make it as special as I can. There at Caruth Hill Funeral Home, whether that's something tangible that I can do, give them a gift, something like that, or something intangible I can do where I sing for them or speak for them. I preach a lot of funerals for people that don't have ministers, and the Lord has really used that for me to help people. So it's been good.
Your final song today, tell me about what it's going to be.
This song probably has the most meaning for me out of all of the ones that I've done today. Our ministry we have always been ones that have reached for the least, the last, and the lost. And I really don't care what people's backgrounds are. I care about where they can go. And in doing that, in opening our doors to anybody, we have received into our care a lot of broken homes, a lot of broken hearts, a lot of broken people, and people that have battled addictions, whether they be drugs, alcohol, pornography, you name it. And this is a song that I came across, again, by that group called Unspoken, called My Recovery. And really, Jesus is the only way that we can recover from addictions. He really is.
Is that sort of the interior of your ministry, recovering from addictions and things like that?
It has morphed into that in the last year. In the last year, our church has had over 300 people come to our altars. And I would say the majority of those 300 people are battling addictions.
It's an amazing need.
Yeah, and like I said, it is. We've just always been open to whosoever will, and
Right.
This is who the Lord put in our path. Do I have time for a quick story?
Sure.
I directed a funeral for a young man, and he was in recovery, and he did not recover. He took his own life. And the Lord really put on my heart a burden for the recovery community of Hot Springs. And I began to talk to his father about it. And it's very hard. I'm not an addict. I was never a drug addict myself. It's very hard to break into that community and earn trust. And I really feel like it's just the grace of God that has given me favor with them. And one person told me the other day, said, for somebody who's never been an addict, you sure know how to capture our hearts. And so I won a
the
few
best
over,
compliment you could get.
and that was it, man. They started coming by the droves, and there's been some wonderful, wonderful people who have found themselves in bondage. And if we can break those chains of bondage, they prove that they're just as wonderful as they always were.
Pastor, I really appreciate you coming and visiting with us and sharing your story and sharing your music. A lot of fun. And I want you to go record, and I want you to bring it back and let us promote it.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good.
Go ahead and take us out with a final song.
There was a light that found me in darkness, failing and hopeless, barely alive. And for the first time, I saw your perfection in my reflection there in your eyes. My feet are on the ground and my heart is beating now. Your love has showed me how to live. You're my recovery, changing who I was to who I'm meant to be, healing all that's broken as you wash me clean. Oh, you set me free. You're my recovery. You're my recovery. Oh, you're my recovery. You're changing who I was to who I'm meant to be, healing all that's broken as you wash me clean. Oh, you set me free. You're my recovery. You're my recovery.